distress, how we look at stress, leading to all this stimulation, leading to this sense of fight or flight, constantly being anxious, on edge and such, can have a whole lot of health consequences. And generally speaking, that kind of stress feels pleasant or unpleasant? Unpleasant. Unpleasant, yeah. And so when we have unpleasant sensations and chronic stress, what do we tend to do that is not so healthy sometimes, some of us anyway?
Drink.
What is it?
Drink.
Drink what?
Alcohol, not water.
Alcohol and what else? What other people do instead of alcohol these days?
Drugs.
Yeah, so substance abuse. What else do we do when we're feeling like that, stressed out?
Overeat.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you got me going. So now we have the fight, flight, or freeze. So in our world, in my world, in other places, the maladaptive. So these are adaptive. The maladaptive Fs. The first one is get F'd up. So that's for the substance abuse. Food. All right, so we said some of the other stuff. What else do you sometimes do? When you're stressed out, anything.
I do exercise on the...
Fitness.
Some people get violent. Some people get violent.
Get fired?
Violent. Like, violent.
What F is that?
What's that?
Freak out or flip out. Yep. Act out, flip out. Some people go in the other direction. It's running out of time, so I just want to show the sleepiness, the drowsiness, the avoidance, the denying, and we call that forget about it. Forget about it. So we got these Fs, and we play around with the mnemonics just to help out, but you don't need to remember. It's just that chronic stress can lead to diseases, actually poor health, a lot of different things, and maladaptive coping behavior. So the question becomes, is working out? What do you think?
I mean, I don't think that's a maladaptive behavior. That's probably on the other side because it's helping your body.
So you don't think it's maladaptive? It should be fight, flight, fitness?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want to chime in on that one?
It can be. People take it to an extreme and bring too much time into it, then it can be so bad.
I guess anytime you use anything as a crutch, I mean, meditation can become that too in its own way. From a friend of mine just told me she can, I guess,
Escapism kind of thing?
escapism.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so
I would think that the exercise would be a positive channel for that adrenaline because it wants to do something with all that energy, right? So you're taking it away from your heart and your internals and you're channeling it to exercise.
So we'll put MBSR,
Unless you do
yoga,
it 12 hours a day. Right.
exercise. And I think the point's well taken. They seem to be more useful than popping pills, drinking, overeating, the behaviors, workaholism, gambling, shopping. But I think clearly, if done for a reason for escaping from my real life or instead of my responsibilities, or every time I get angry, I go to the gym, and so I still get angry over here, and I go to the gym, and I don't care because if ever I get angry, I know I'm going to go to the gym. There may be a sense of neglecting what it is that you're supposed to do about the anger issue or who that person is triggering you. If you have that sense of, I can go and relieve this, and I'm so holy because I'm a yoga person kind of thing. So, I say that kidding around, but I've seen that. And again, it's the attitude we bring into that. So it was well taken that it's more how we see these things, our belief systems, than anything else.
Television, I guess also.
What's that?
Watching TV, like binge watching. Netflix.
Just plain watching is enough. But yeah, binge watching TV, same kind of thing. Many people do that. I know I've done it many times. I need to veg out and watch this TV, and then the next thing I know, I'm more stressed out. It's what's going on these days. So yeah, so now you're catching on to what goes on here. So even meditation, MBSR, I'm going to more and more MBSR, I'll give you more and more and more. If it's done for the wrong reasons, inappropriateness. And one of the, to give you a little bit of a hint if you haven't caught on, one of the things, how would we know if we're doing it for this reason or that reason? So that inquiry process can be part of what we're doing here. We're bringing the awareness into everything we're doing here, and perhaps you'll know. Perhaps by bringing your attention into that discomfort in the foot, it'll lead to other awarenesses of what other activities and motivations we have. So I just want to complete. Does anybody have questions on this or feedback? Remember, you don't really need to do this. We're not going to be doing any more real lectures like this during the class. So you don't need to take notes, and it's not memorized. And I don't tape, even though I'm recording here, I'm not taping this for use of whatever. You can Google this and find out more. But because you guys are so smart, I'll just give you the one more thing. So there's actually one more F. Adaptive F. I doubt anybody knows, but anybody want to give it a shot?
It's adaptive if you forget. You're able to forget that. You go and you move on. Right?
Forget we put into maladaptive in the sense that if it's a neglecting and avoiding, that kind of stance. I guess you can use sometimes forget, but yeah, it's not quite like that. It's just a little
freedom.
Seeking social support, like friends, family.
Okay, friends is good. You're very close. Yeah, and so with all due respect, so the fight or flight research was done after stress came out, and Hans Selye in the 30s, and a whole bunch of stress research came out, and the majority of the stress research was done on male rats and then male humans, which some people think are the same, but I won't go in. In the 90s, they did some research in women under stress. And
then befriend.
What is it?
So instead of fight or flight, women tend and befriend.
There you go. So that's the other F, tend and befriend. So I just say for completion, again, it's not nothing, but it was very interesting because the leading edge of the research is going in this direction. Tend and befriend, and these cohorts, they were caregivers of Alzheimer's patients, and I think hospice or intensive care nurses or something like that, but they were all women. And they found that the first thing that women do under stress is go into this situation where they talk to, befriend each other, call up on each other for help. If it's an infant, cooing the infant, holding and nurturing and that kind of thing. So tending and befriending. And the science shows that. So we went over here and we said in the amygdala, the sympathetic accelerator, there's the parasympathetic. It's more like the brake. The parasympathetic, the main nerve there is called the vagus nerve. Anybody heard of the vagus nerve? Who hasn't heard of it? So the vagus nerve, because what goes on in the vagus nerve stays in the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve runs from the brainstem, deep part of the brain, all the way down to the pelvis, but it goes to the heart, it goes through the throat area, and it goes to the lower jaw. So under stress, knowing that something is not life-threatening, like I have to run away and fight or flight, the first impression, the first impulse is to use our mouth, to use our faces, to use our throat, to use our heart. And if you ever, you may have experienced it yourself, I've heard this many times, I go to many meetings, is that I'm so nervous and I can't say, and I can't talk, I'm so nervous, and they talk. Or I'm so nervous and they start giggling. So sort of like that. But you can imagine the tending and befriending coming because of that vagus nerve being stimulated. So if a threat is not considered life-threatening, you can go into tend and befriend. If it looks like it may be life-threatening, you go into fight or flight. And then the freeze response, if the threat is hopeless, you go into what's called play possum. Shut down completely, pretend you're dead, because even the possum, the predator may actually skip by them. It says, I'm going to be eaten, I might as well play dead. If I die, I die, but perhaps the predator will say, hey, I don't go for dead meat, I'm going off to the next person and go off. But freezing happens quite a bit in people, right? Does anybody ever get under threat and freeze a little bit? Yeah. So it's all connected like this, and you know, now it's known that men do tend to befriend and women do fight or flight. It's all interconnected. So it's not separated, clean cut, and such like that. So any questions on this? Again, it's not going to come up again. We don't want to talk it out unless you want to bring it up, but it's not something we need to get into. It's just sort of to explain how, from your experience, from your own noticing, your own awareness of all these things that happen, especially in the body. The body's good, what we call it, it's a good stress detector. It doesn't lie to you. It's either drowsy or not. It's either tight or not. So you'll know from the body. The emotions tend to go somewhat with the fight or flight. For instance, the way I put it, in the fight mode, it's the anger. Let's get up and move. In the flight mode, it's the anxiety. In the freeze mode, it's sort of the shame and guilt. And I forgot to mention the maladaptive F for tend and befriend. Give it a shot. Or at least what you think it might be.
It's probably socially isolated, but probably something like F off or something like that. If you're looking for an F.
Another F?